How's it, punters? Welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, World Cup edition. We are going to be previewing the quarterfinal matches in this episode, having a quick look at some of the results from the round of 16 as well. Simon's with me as always. Simon, a bit of a mixed bag with the betting last week. Kind of fell into that Croatia trap, but I did manage to pick up a win on my little double that I had there with England and Brazil, picking up very comfortable wins.
Yeah, it was quite a mixed bag. You're right. It started off with the Netherlands USA game, and despite the Netherlands actually having less possession and shots at goal, they kind of romped to a 3-1 win over the USA. We talked about this match in the preview pod, and we're quite tempted by the odds on the Netherlands at around 2.05. But both sort of felt hesitant to kind of pull the trigger on that one with any confidence. And yeah, we end up being right on that side. And then I must say, I feel like I was kind of correct in the fact that Australia did give Argentina a little more trouble maybe than they expected. Look, I mean, Messi and his team never really looked completely flustered, but I think there would have been plenty of punters and perhaps even maybe ourselves. I'm not sure if we did settle on that -1 handicap.
Yes, we took.
But
I took -1.5 in one of. It was one of the ones that I was kind of keen on.
Yeah, so that was that. I'm sure that would have got a lot of punters unstuck, wanting to kind of get involved in Argentina on the handicaps there and getting a little greedy. But yeah, I'm not surprised actually that one ended quite close.
Yeah.
Um,
And then
and
obviously
then
the big talking point is last night Morocco knocking out Spain. Gosh, like what a terrible performance that was from Spain.
It was. It absolutely was. I mean, obviously, to take nothing away from Morocco, I mean, they really did get every man behind the ball for 120 minutes, which is certainly impressive. I mean, they had only 23% possession and 235 passes, which is just incredibly small, incredibly low compared to Spain. But they stretched out their brilliant defense over that whole period. And you could say it was boring, but it's exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah.
Give themselves that sort of 50-50 chance in the penalties. And yeah, Spain missed their first two kicks from the spot. And then poor old Sergio Busquets.
As soon as I saw him step up, I knew he's such a. I don't like him at all. He's a very dirty
Oh
player.
gosh.
He's
Full credit to Bono though. I mean, that was
yeah.
look. It wasn't like an absolute routine save. It wasn't impossible either. But he went exactly where he needed to go and saved that. Despite Morocco obviously also missing one, so the advantage in the penalty shootout then got reduced to 1 goal. But just within that best of 5, they managed to seal the deal. So.
Just far too casual with their penalty taking. It was.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it seems like gone are the days where guys are blasting it into the top corners. It just seems like they're placing it left or right, low to the keeper, which is the best thing to do. It's the hardest to save.
Absolutely, and I think the commentators had it spot on. They were talking about how the the Moroccan coach had made them practice 1,000 penalties, which I think that's important for a number of reasons. Obviously, it builds confidence, but I think more importantly than that, it just you need to, I think, get in your mind exactly what you're going to do in a penalty. I think changing your mind at the last minute is a recipe for disaster. So knowing exactly where you're going to put the ball, regardless of what the keeper's doing, don't try and react to the keeper. I just think. Time after time, I just see that when players change their mind on the penalty spot, their shots get saved.
Yeah,
so,
they don't hit it hard enough. They don't hit it like into the corner enough. That kind of thing. It's some really poorly taken penalties this World Cup, I must say. It's actually something that I didn't expect to see.
And very tough on Sergio Busquets. They're obviously missing as the captain, missing the final penalty to put Morocco through.
But yeah, as the commentator said, all these subs are coming on and taking penalties, and they're missing them. So it's it's another thing to consider. But then anyway, back to some of the other results. We had England picking up a very comfortable win as well. Kind of everyone expected that one. Brazil absolutely hammering South Korea in their match, and then we had a draw between Croatia and Japan. That one went to penalties as well. And it was Portugal put on quite a performance last night. It was like 6-1 or something like that. I can't remember quite what the final score was. Nice hat trick over there as well.
Yeah, it was. That was. I mean, that I would have loved to have been at a Portuguese pub watching that one. Somewhere like Diaz Tavern in Cape Town. I must have gone absolutely nuts. That was the first hat trick of the World Cup, as I think you just mentioned, Gonzalo Ramos. And he actually was on the bench.
I think it was the first since the 90s, actually. I think
Has
that's
it?
also,
Okay, so
yeah.
it's been that long. I mean, I can imagine that. And he was actually on the bench against South Korea. So old Fernando Santos will be very pleased that he decided to start him. And of course, Ronaldo subbed on during the 74th minute once Portugal were already 5-1 up, which I think says so much about how far he's fallen from grace.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
really is. I mean, I think by now, if he doesn't realize that he is basically just an underwear
There's a
model on a
caricature of
football field,
himself, really, now. It's an old
it really
caricature.
is. I think he must be having a serious mental check right now.
Yeah, he doesn't have the same impact on the game as Messi does. I mean, Messi was crucial in the
Hmm.
Argentina match. He's everywhere, He turning back the year, turning back the clock, making those runs, that kind of thing. You don't see that from Ronaldo.
Yeah.
He's just still a great player, but he's just fallen off so much. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So let's jump into some of the quarterfinals, Simon. We've got
Mm.
Croatia versus Brazil. I, Croatia are just such a tough team to call, man. They're just these knockout kind of specialists who they kind of play to their opposition's level, and that's not necessarily a
Yes,
good thing. They'll play down or they'll play up. They don't really
absolutely.
set it themselves. And I don't see them beating Brazil, but I mean it is Croatia. An upset could be on the cards here, of course, but I think they are the biggest underdogs of any of the quarterfinal matches, even bigger
Yeah, I
than
mean,
Morocco.
absolutely. So I couldn't agree with everything more with everything you said there. I mean, there's no ways I'm backing the match winner here at 1.38 with Brazil. That's just those odds are too short. At the same time, yes, Croatia is probably the second weakest side left in the tournament, besides Morocco potentially. Um, but I just, yeah, I just don't see any value in that Brazil price. They should absolutely go through. But Croatia, as you say, they're such a dogged, determined team, and they're specialists in this sort of situation. And I must say, I don't see any value in the goals market either, because
No.
I would also favor slightly over
Yeah.
2.5, which is exactly where the bookies have it. So this to me is absolute no bet. I'm not getting involved with Brazil on the match winner, not on the handicaps. I can't back Croatia. I think this is the toughest match really from a betting perspective for me.
I think the only thing that I kind of fancy here as a punt to take would be both teams to score no. Um,
Mm,
Croatia are struggling up front. They're not. They've missed so many chances against Japan.
yeah.
They struggle with dealing with Japan's width, especially. And
Yes.
those wide players of Brazil could really punish
Yeah.
them. I don't see Croatia scoring in this one, but Croatia can keep Brazil out at the same time. Man, how wrong was I with the Swiss, by the way? Jeez, they got absolutely hammered.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I'm worried that that's going to happen to Croatia here. So that's why I kind of fancy
Yeah.
both teams to score no. That covers you for a
And
Croatia
I'm
one
guessing I
nil.
haven't looked at the price, but
It's
that's got to be under even money.
1.66. It's not the best price, but
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
the only kind of bet that I'm drawn towards. The overs and unders, I mean, geez, toss a coin for that one. I can't pick overs or unders in this.
Yeah.
I do
And at least
fancy
with
the over, but yeah.
that both teams not to score or both teams to score no, you also cover Croatia sneaking a win here.
Hmm.
If they can hold back Brazil for you know, close to the 90 minutes or something, and then they sneak in a goal and win 1-0, you also covered there. So, I think that is quite I would have liked bigger odds, but I think that is quite an astute bet.
Yeah, it's the only one that stands out, and I'm not really going to punt it. But if I were to take a bet on that
Mm,
match, it would probably be both teams to score, even though the value is not amazing. But
no.
I can't see anything else. I don't want to take Brazil on the handicap. I don't want to take Croatia on the handicap because there's not much value there. I think if Croatia lose,
Hmm.
they'll lose by more than one.
Mm,
And it's plus 1.5 is 1.75. I mean, if you could give me like 1.6 on plus 2.5, maybe, but that's never going to happen. Half time,
yeah,
full time. I mean, Brazil might be a punt, but it's one to stay away from, as you said. You just shouldn't get involved here. Maybe in
I
play or
think so.
something like that. If you see Brazil running right, take a bit of a handicap in play or something. But
Mm,
I think Brazil take this one. But yeah, don't put too much down. Then another very interesting one. I think this is probably the second most interesting quarterfinal from a betting and from an outcome perspective is Netherlands against
mm,
Argentina. That's Netherlands. They're not full of superstars. They've got no household names in that side, but they are a solid team. I think they've got the best coach at the World Cup as well.
De
And
Gaal.
yeah, They're just organized, they're fluid, they change their tactics, they're not coming out with the same
Mm.
thing every time. They can frustrate Argentina. I think Argentina are ripe for the picking here, to be honest. As much.
I agree, and I think I think they found another gear in that 3-1 win over USA. I think they looked much more lively than they had been in the group stages. Don't be wrong, they played well in the group stages, but I think you saw an extra bit of spark there. And as you say, I mean, I'm not surprised they aren't the biggest odds in the world to beat Argentina. And I don't think Argentina were particularly impressive against Australia. I think Australia gave them a very good
Mm,
run, which I thought they would. And this is definitely, if you look at the matches that Argentina have played so far, this is a much tougher test for
yeah.
Argentina. I mean, they really have Argentina have had a fairly easy run up until now. But, on the complete opposite to the bet that we liked for Brazil Croatia, I actually like both teams to score in this one. And I was quite surprised that you could get as much as 2.05 on that because I think this one could definitely see both teams score. So this giving me over even money here, I think that's a nice bet.
Yeah, I think that's also probably where I'd go. Also, even over 2.5 is 2.37. But I think
Mm.
that both teams to score is a much better bet. I can see both teams scoring in this one. Look, the Dutch do have a very good defense. It's their kind of the best part of their side. Um,
Yeah.
but Argentina, could win a penalty.
Mm.
Yeah, I can't pick a winner here. My head says Netherlands though, and those odds of 3.5 are very tempting. Even Netherlands on the draw no bet at 2.38 is very tempting. That way you've had a punt on it. If it's a draw at full time 90 minutes, then at least you're going to get your money back. You can maybe reinvest it into a bet for the extra time or penalties or whatever. But I don't know. I can't. It's another one that I can't pick a winner here. I just think that, as you said, the Netherlands are they're just too organized. I think, and it depends which Argentine side rocks up. I think that's also a
Yeah,
big question.
absolutely.
Then let's move on to the next one: Morocco versus Portugal. I think Portugal here at 1.7. I think that's that's the obvious bet. That's the mugs bet, and
Yeah.
that's the bet I'm going to go with.
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously, much to both our surprise, Portugal destroyed Switzerland, which are normally a very well organized side. Cancelo Ramos scoring that hat trick, which we mentioned earlier. I think, look, I mean, as much as I have the maddest amount of respect for Morocco in the way that they've gone about this tournament, they win over Spain in penalties yesterday. I just think Portugal here, straight up 1.7. It's perhaps the most straightforward bet of the tournament so far.
Yeah, I mean they're coming they're
If you
coming in with so much confidence as well.
They're coming in with oozing with confidence. They really have. Their team have improved, I think, every single game they've played. So, Morocco, look, absolutely playing out of their socks. But I just think, I mean, can you imagine how? I know there's a few days break, but can you imagine how spent those players are after
Mm,
yesterday?
yeah,
They gave it their absolute all against Spain, and I just think this is one bridge too far.
yeah.
So
Unfortunately,
1.7 here, yeah, unfortunately, but I think 1.7 here that is 100% my bet of these
yeah,
quarterfinals.
Sam.
Portugal at
I mean,
1.7.
yeah, I'd even say take Portugal on the handicap here. Portugal minus one
Mm,
and a half, something like that. I think they win this one quite comfortably. It
yeah,
depends on how long Morocco's defense is going to be able to keep them out. I
yeah.
think that's
And
that's
I
the
just,
big
if they
question.
hadn't played for 120 minutes and put in such a good performance, and yes, I mean, as I said, full credit to them for that. But I just think that, and I mean, not because I think Portugal are necessarily a better side than Spain. I just think the chances of Morocco managing to do that again just
Mm.
seem very, very unlikely to
And,
me.
and and let's face it, Spain probably should have beaten Morocco in the 90 minutes. They hit the
Mm,
posts.
yeah,
They spurred so many chances.
yeah, not as
Um,
many chances as I should have, but
yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
yeah,
It was really should have been like a 1-0 kind of win for Spain.
yeah.
And I think with Portuguese are going to put a couple past them, even though they haven't
Mm.
conceded a goal in the tournament. I think the only goal that they conceded was an own goal from Morocco.
Yes, yeah, it's one. It's only one goal. I was mentioning that yesterday, and obviously with the nil, with the clean sheet this yesterday, that makes it still one goal. Yeah.
I mean, I wonder what the odds are on Portugal to win and keep a clean sheet. Let's see.
Wow.
Portugal, no, 2.38. That's actually not bad.
Oh, not great. Jeez, I would
Ah,
have thought it would be much closer to 2-1.
yeah, it's
No.
yeah, I think that's still reasonable, but the 1.7, I just can't look past that.
Yeah.
That's also going to be my. I think we're both in agreement for the bet of the week on that one. And then for Simon, the match of the quarterfinals for me personally, at least, I think the one that I'm most
Mm.
looking forward to. Unfortunately, it's at 9 o'clock again. Why? I can't stand these 9 o'clock matches. It's just too late.
Yeah.
We have, because, it goes to extra time and penalties, and gosh, like,
Oh, yeah, you can go to midnight nearly.
yeah, and I'm sitting there having beers, and I have to have some more beers, and then I start tucking into the whiskey, and then the next morning my liver hates me.
Story of the World Cup.
Yeah, so England versus France is the one I'm talking about. This is quite an interestingly priced match, to be honest. England's like France are looking they're looking really good. I think they're favourites behind Brazil, of course. I think that's well justified now. They've just improved as the competition has gone on. It's I think you're going to go with England here, but
I am.
I think this is going to be a draw.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, best quarterfinal match of the lot, and also bookies finding it fairly difficult to separate these two. So France at slight favourites are around 2.44. I have to make a case for England. I mean, look, my opinion hasn't really changed about them. I still think that yes, France might have proven to some extent that they can get by without Benzema,
Mm.
Pogba, Varane, etc. But the fact remains they can't call upon these guys if they need them. Um, so for me, it's kind of just a case of sticking to my guns with my prediction that England will reach the final. So look, it's undoubtedly should be a close game, and it really could come down to it really could come down to one goal very very easily. So, but yeah, I think you know I think England. Everyone knows England are spectacularly good at flopping at the worst
Yes,
possible
and
time.
that's what I'm just thinking now is like this could be the one where it goes spectacularly wrong for them and they
But
just
would you
get
not think
absolutely
that
hammered.
they would rather flop in the final? Because that would be even more England to flop in the final. So I'm going to go here that they're gonna I think they're going to beat France and then perhaps get to the final and then have their worst performance of the tournament.
I think they've had their worst
So
performance of the tournament, to be honest. That normal game against the USA, I think that was
yeah, yeah.
probably the lowest point.
Yeah, but I guess my point is not enough's changed for me to. I mean, I think that yes, I think France have proven that they can play without a lot of their key players, but I don't think England have done a hell of a lot wrong. So yeah, I think they can get through this, and I'll take them
Are you
on
going to
that
take them
on that count.
to go through at 3.05 as the match win in 90? But the price on them just to go through is 2.07. That's also quite attractive.
2.07. Yeah, the fact that it's over even money, I quite like just to qualify.
Mm.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair enough. But yeah, I think I still think they're going to be in the final with Brazil.
We're going to differ on this one. I think France are going to take it. I think the match result after 90 is going to be a draw.
Hmm.
But my bet here would probably be with France. So we're on opposite ends here. I just from my side, like England haven't been tested that much against a
Sure.
quality opposition, and they're coming up
Yeah.
against the current champions, coming
Yeah.
up against the side that's in reasonably good form. And I think England's biggest problem here is going to be Gareth Southgate. That's my concern. If there was any other manager,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think they would have a much better chance.
It's kind of I feel that England are going to have their biggest. I mean, they're going to have a huge upgrade in opposition against France, just like Argentina are going to have a huge upgrade
Mm.
in opposition. Whereas the other teams have kind of played good teams. I feel reasonably good teams. I think Argentina is going to get really tested by the Netherlands, and obviously England now have a big test in France. So yeah.
I mean, Argentina also, they've had a loss in the tournament. They've kind of had their shock.
Hmm.
They've been humiliated, if I want to call it that, already.
Yeah.
Whereas, like as you mentioned, these sides haven't quite had the best opposition to play against, which is concerning. I mean, France they've played some decent sides. I think that Poland was quite a big win
Yeah.
for them.
Tougher than England for sure.
Denmark also a very solid side.
Yeah.
So I think they've had a much tougher, not to say it was very tough at all, but they've come up against much more organized teams, European
Hmm.
teams as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean,
that's
let's not forget Spain as well. So yeah,
yeah. So I'm
I
going
mean,
with
not
France.
Spain,
You're going
Germany.
with England.
Yeah, let's do it.
So that will be the bragging rights for the semi-finals. So going on to the bet of the week, I think we're both in agreement. It's got to be Portugal to
Mm,
beat Morocco at 1.7.
yeah, absolutely.
All right,
I think
guys.
that's decent.
Right, and we should be back for a quick semi-final and a final preview. I think they fall quite nicely with when we record these podcasts, and we'll have some time to digest things. And it's also a bit of a bummer that we have a break between the matches now. I think this is the first break that we have in the whole World Cup for a couple of days.
Yeah, it is. Only 2 days though.
Yeah,
So only Wednesday and Thursday off, and then we're back into action on the weekend.
yeah, so can get some early nights in for a
Yeah,
change.
yeah.
But guys,
Preparation.
thanks for tuning into this World Cup special. We'll catch you for the semi-finals. Before we go, Simon, has your outright picks changed at all? I know you're on England. You mentioned that earlier. You think? I mean, Brazil now 2.75, incredibly short, maddeningly short. Can't believe it's
Yeah,
that short.
I don't think
France.
Brazil. Yeah, I can't say Brazil have done enough wrong to knock them off the pedestal. My opinion hasn't changed, to be quite honest. It's exactly the same. I think they are the worthy favourites. I think they're way short now. I think if you're backing Brazil now, you're a madman.
Yeah.
You get it, if you were getting them at 5.5 or something before the tournament, fine. All hats off to you. But backing them now, I think, is not a good idea. Even though you got a very good chance of getting a winner. I just don't see the value in that.
And I'm not sure what the top goal scorers are looking like. I actually haven't had a look at the size. Let's have a quick look at that before we end off. Golden boot. Here we go. We've got Mbappe still 1.52. Man, those goals he scored were absolutely pretty.
He's so quick. My
Jeez,
word, he's quick.
such a short trigger and just whap on the keeper's near side as well. Just damn whap
He's
whap.
got this sort of, the fastest. He can go from standing still to full speed quicker, I think, than any footballer in the world.
It's absolutely insane. I think the
Yeah.
golden boot's going to be his surely, because I don't think there's going to be too many goals in the semis and in the final, obviously. But yeah, Simon, thanks, guys. We'll catch you in the next episode. Have a good one. Cheers.